I love that shakeup up against the Shaker, although I wouldn't say that lane is cut and dry. I think if you are looking to trade hits, Enchant still hurts for something like the Timbersaw. And it's going to be interesting to see how Mollerine and Nothing to Say kind of play out in this one.
It should be, of course. Happy to see the Morphling coming out as well from Monet. Completely unkilled yesterday. So very, very, very excited to see this coming out once again from G2.iG. And will Monet die today on the Morphling, Jonathan, is the question on my mind. Suppose we'll find out very soon.
We'll see. You know, it's funny as well. If you look at G2.iG's draft, if you ran this like 3-4 years ago, you have Shaker and Spirit Breaker.
Oh, the old TNC
But that doesn't work anymore. Yeah, they've got both of them.
Those were the good old days. They really were.
I'm sure Gabby's
Gabby
looking
and
back at
Armel,
this one.
if I remember correctly, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Gabby's like, oh, we used to do this. This was our strat, but it doesn't work anymore, guys.
Speaking of Gabby, I've been hearing he's having a fantastic time at the event, by the way, John. Some spicy things happening against our South American brothers, I believe. But anyway, Falcons, G2.iG running at each other already. Looks like Skidder going to cop a bit of harassment. Will be okay. Nothing to say. Going to be just fine. Bit of harassment on the way out. It was a 2-for-2 trade on the bounty. So pretty even kind of start between these two teams.
Yeah, Crit does get the toss off to grab that bounty to even it out. Nothing too shocking there. Toss level 1 maybe not the ideal, but level 1 for Tiny is never the greatest point anyway. If you're looking for right-click harass, taking a look at that bot lane, you do have JT on the Spirit Breaker along with Baboka on that Pugna up against Snaking on that Grimstroke and Skitter on the Luna. So they are keeping Snaking on that Luna lane, which is not the ideal for Grimstroke. You know, I do agree with the panel. You don't have an Inkswell combo. You're not going to be able to run up and be aggressive with Grimstroke. At the same time, you can play this pretty well defensively if you get a good stroke out, a good usage of the Inkswell to break up the charge. Your Luna shouldn't be under too much kill threat, but level 2 does seem like a pretty good point for Baboka and JT to try to flex their muscle there.
Oh, top lane. Speaking of kill threat, X-Nova tossed out of position here from Crit, though he's going to be okay to back himself out. But a fair bit of damage being dealt his way. Crit kind of showing what could happen in just a moment as the levels do come up here on the side of Falcons. And X-Nova going to be very, very cautious not to get caught out of position. Mind you, he's going to have some creep soon, so it should be a little bit more challenging to get the toss off onto the actual Chen a little bit later on. But for now, he does have to be just a little bit cautious. And speaking of cautious, mid lane, Nothing to Say against Malrine. This is not exactly a favorable matchup here for the Earthshaker. He could have a pretty rough time.
Yeah, the harassment coming out from Malrine with that Whirling Death is pretty damn strong, but you also can dish it back quite nicely with the enchant. The issue is, as you lose strength, of course, your damage output does shoot down, so it's a little bit rougher to exchange, and you have that natural regen advantage for Malrine with a value point in the chain.
Oh, Baboka, bottom lane, going to be saved right now by JT. A Snaking, the one to give away first blood, and now the bash is coming out. JT, how lucky can we get? Give it a crack, JT.
One more? No.
He won't fight. Sometimes the gods are in your favor, sometimes they aren't. Jonathan, and Nothing to Say. He kind of just walked into Malrine and he copped a Whirling Death.
Yeah, level 2 Whirling Death, it just ramps up way faster. Again, the Shaker can get some play. It's a lot harder to play that lane out. You're going to have to space yourself well. He does at least have the stick now, but you would have really liked to have that way earlier on with how much spam was coming through. A good start so far for Falcons at the very least in the mid lane, even the bot lane. Despite that death early on, despite that first blood, you are getting some good room out for Skitter to farm up. No stacking very early on. That is something that they might want to consider for Luna down the line, but considering how aggressive you want to be in this top lane for Crit Namar, you might not find a room to do that. You've got the annoying Satyr here as well with the slows.
ATF, he's going to go ahead and just devour that immediately. Not interested in messing around here with X-Nova. Does have the hill creep as well. So ATF does have quite a bit of sustain for himself if necessary. Nothing to Say, however, on the other hand, in this mid lane does not have much sustain. Johnny's going to have to be a little bit careful. As JT down at bottom. It's in a bit of a pickle, but does manage to get his way out just fine to survive this bottom lane. So 1-1 so far. Very slight net worth lead the way of Falcons. Skitter, of course, you were just seeing John Haddis is having a very good time. I mean, CS-wise, 17-6. Marine's having a very good time CS-wise, 18-3. And well, even ATF's having a great time in terms of CS.
Yeah, this kind of early start does bode fairly well for Falcons. It feels like the early aggression from G2.iG has to kind of connect into a push. You've got Pugna, you've got Chen. You've got to try to take over more of the map and decrease the space that Luna will be able to find. So that's the one thing I think we'd want to see from G2.iG, whether or not they can get that push going early on. It feels really rough with this kind of start for Nothing to Say, just because in a lot of games for G2.iG, it does feel like they tend to connect onto JT or NTS, and it just doesn't feel like you're getting that typical strong start for NTS this time. He is not that far behind in comparison to the Timbersaw, but the EXP differential is certainly something a little bit concerning for the Shaker.
Mid lane, there is a rotation coming in from Crit. Nothing to Say, already dropping low. There goes the tanking from Maureen, just taking all the tier 1 tower hits as Crit moves in with the toss out of Maureen, able to secure another great kill onto Nothing to Say. And this is something we saw yesterday from Falcons. I mean, Crit's always fantastic as a pos 4, but seems to be working very well with this mid lane of Maureen, just always able to find these connections. Top lane, ATF now being chased by Monet, but he's a tanky boy. He's got the Vanguard up. He's going to be just fine.
I mean, he still has that heal amplification aura as well. It's no joke, that little boost you get, 15% up with 9.4 HP per second. It does pile up, all of these bonuses, and makes it really hard to shove Amar away, which again enables Crit to get that kind of movement across the map, just because you're self-sufficient on that off lane. You're not worried about a Morphling trying to gank you up. The creep comes in for an X-Nova, you just devour it. So no problems there. And again, like for G2.iG, it doesn't feel like they have that kind of connection point just yet. JT, he's building up in levels. He's going for the Midas. He's looking for a little bit of the long haul. They will get the gate movement out here as well with X-Nova.
Something else we saw from X-Nova yesterday on the Grimstroke, I believe, just rotating through the twin gates around this time, trying to find a gank onto the position 1. This time around, though, it seems as though Falcons have read the movement, so they will back off. Though had Nothing to Say mid lane. Has he read this movement? Toss back from Crit once again into the Timber. The Blood Grenade also going to land, and now with the chain forward, Nothing to Say. He'll survive a little bit longer, hoping for a level 6 timing, but not going to find it yet as the chase is on. They'll even get a silence out from Snake King. Well, Nothing to Say. He'll even place a ward down, but that was spotted. It gets pinged out. Crit saw him drop it.
They had the sentry down early, so the same movement once again, flanking behind that tier 1. A little bit surprising that it just works every single time. At the very least for G2.iG, they do find that bot tier 1, so they are connecting with the push that the Chen and Pugna can provide, and they can start to infiltrate a little bit into that jungle where Skitter wants to sit back and farm up. We've got to see the activity now start to come in from JT. Doesn't quite have the levels ready yet on the Spirit Breaker, still at 4. But once you can start to get some movement across the map, it can start to make it a little bit easier to get that space for NTS, to get that space out for Monet. Falcons, though, are making it hard to find that space. And again, while you make all of those movements across, the Doom isn't being punished. He's at the point where he's hard to kill. Malrine is ready to leave his lane and get some rotations out. And you just don't have that launching point. Again, Spirit Breaker's still a ways off from 6. You're nowhere near close to blink for Nothing to Say, although at least the option for Slam is available. I don't see any straight opportunities here for G2.iG outside of push.
ATF, I mean, he's sitting pretty low at this top lane. You're right, though, just, again, casually just regenning up. So one thing I really like about this roster of Falcons, right, and we kind of already went over this, but having an offlane like ATF who just wants to sit in the lane by himself allows Crit to make these rotations, and with an aggressive mid like Maureen, you can really just set up these beautiful ganks over and over again, knowing that ATF wants this situation anyway. Like, he's your old school offlane. He doesn't want help. He wants to suffer, as it should be.
Yeah, he also chooses here's that cans hold solo as they jump mid.
Absolutely. Crits in again. They won't find the kill, though, this time around as Baboka barely survives. Nothing to Say he's going to go for a bit of a chase. He's got the Echo Slam available now. Snakeman gets caught out, and there's your Echo committed. Nothing to Say. Not wasting any time, but now the turnaround. Maureen, he'll find Nothing to Say, but it does cost his own life. Crit in the meantime, also getting charged by JT, so you're going to find a third target. And it seems as though G2.iG, this time around, they've adapted.
That they have. Really great patience from Nothing to Say right in the middle of the three heroes to get a little bit of that echo damage out. And buying some time, you know, waiting for JT to come in with that charge. A big kill to find. Just that positioning. It starts off this failed gank attempt onto Baboka. just a little bit too durable, and then just in between these two ramps. That slam, it doesn't look like it does much, but up against the Timbersaw early, you need every bit of damage you can get.
Absolutely. The Marine, obviously, are able to just kind of move back in, but maybe underestimating the damage coming out from the ES and, of course, Baboka. Still, the mid-tier 1 tower, it's dropping very low. Another thing we saw from Falcons yesterday against LGD was they love taking these tier 1 towers extremely early. And of course, you take that mid-tier 1 tower, you open up the jungle on either side, and it allows them to play this aggressive game that they just really enjoy. And here we go again. Mid-tier 1 tower is gone now, and immediately Crit and Snaking have infiltrated that dire jungle. They'll take over that side of the map. And this will make things a little bit more awkward for Monet now, who does lose that farm, as Baboka, meanwhile, down to the top lane, does actually go down to A tier.
Yeah, not the biggest pick off to find. The key thing with the mid-tier 1 is that angling into the top tier 1 for their push. They're in position to get that done. G2.iG are ready for incursions in the top jungle. They've got really nice wards watching the entrance. They had that sneaky ward by the camp as well that does expire, but hunting in the top shouldn't be as successful for Falcons with the information G2.iG has. They understand the movements that Falcons want to take, and they've taken defensive measures with some wards that weren't taken out.
Crit, top lane, Avalanche toss up, however there is 4 heroes. He does tank the gank, however. I mean, you'd much rather find ATF in this scenario where you have rotated 4 heroes up at top lane. Crit will just tank the gank for him, and ATF, he is going to be able to retreat rather safely. G2.iG, I'm not sure if they really want to be grouped up as 4 up at top lane this early on, but it's kind of the way the game goes. Against aggressive teams, you do have to play like this sometimes.
That you do. Smoke out from IG to walk across that gate onto bot. They're the ones trying to apply some pressure now onto Skitter. See if JT finds a good angle here.
I mean, Skitter would be a massive kill for G2.iG to find. JT just needs the vision for the charge out. Seems like he's got the information. Meanwhile, top lane, Xnova does get caught. Skitter has also been caught out there by the looks of it. As Skitter dropping low, does go down. That's a fantastic trade for G2.iG. You'll make that trade any day of the week.
Yeah, they finally put a dent on this Luna, who's pretty much been free farming since the laning phase. They don't quite get some forward vision out, but they know where to hunt. It's one very isolated area as long as that top tier 1 still stands for G2.iG. Falcons still focusing on getting a bit of a shove up top. Omar still holding that lane. They're slowly chipping away, but you don't quite have the same pushing pace in comparison to G2.iG, where your supports can basically solo a tower. So they're not able to kind of respond and go for the push at the same time. G2.iG getting a ton of space out for Monet. You are still in a really strong position for Falcons in terms of net worth. Malrine already has the blink up on her Timbersaw, so he's going to be able to charge in. Now we can see that combination with a Grimstroke, Inkswell, and Timbersaw blink in. It's going to be a really aggressive time. Once you have the Kaya up, the burst damage on Malrine, it's going to rip that backline apart.
Oh, it certainly will be. Malrine kind of showing off that blink here in the mid lane against nothing to say. More rotations coming into the mid, but Malrine going to find the power rune up at the top spot. Speaking of blink daggers, now nothing to say has his own available, so a huge power spike for him to boot. That is a big deal for nothing to say. Like, considering the state of the game and how tough the game has been for him, he does still find a pretty decent timing on this blink, and it should allow him to play a bit more aggressively with his team if necessary. I'm sure they just want the ability to be able to turn a team fight if Falcons continue to play this aggressive game. And well, speaking of the aggression, here we go again. 3-man smoke out. Through the river they go. Who are they running into? Down to that bot side. It seems like it is going to be JT. Malrine, he's got his rune available, so he'll jump in with that. JT, no way out right now with the silence, though JT still surviving for now, but the Inkswell, though, nothing to say, does rotate. It is too late, though. They've lost JT, but they will at least find Snaking as a trade. It's now nothing to say. Does need to retreat. And they will. Still a great trade for Falcons. G2.iG, they do at least get something for their trouble.
I think you're still satisfied on the side of G2.iG. That movement comes down bot, away from your Morphling up top. Despite losing your tier 1, there's no forward vision being dropped by Falcons, so you're still fairly secure on Monet. And the Spirit Breaker dying, it's fine as long as your Morphling's farming and not under any pressure. This action's all the way across. It's actually intruding into a little bit of the space where Skitter would want to be. So you're still in a pretty good spot for G2.iG in terms of forcing these fights onto a decent part of the map that you don't necessarily want to have your big carry to be near anyway. They will smoke up once more, trying to maximize that blink still.
Going after JT here on the Spirit Breaker. No Hand of God, no Echo Slam available, and JT, he is completely alone. He'll cancel Twin Gate usage, but it seems like he just kind of has to accept the fact that he is going to die, though. A nice charge out, barely making it for now. It's JT. When I said he was dead, John, but he finds a way.
It was close to dying, not quite. The damage output just not enough. Needed a little bit more to come in there from Malrine. Again, the lack of Kaya this time. You can see the issue in trying to burst down those higher HP targets. You need that spell lamp up, and he's trying to work his way into it with some ganks. Is only the recipe away at the very least, so if he had it earlier, would have been a different story.
Mane even picking up the Lincoln Sphere on the Morphling. We do tend to see this a lot from Mane, just that little bit of defense necessary for him to be able to get the attribute shifts off the ganks incoming from Falcons. Not to say he probably won't get involved with his team quite yet, John, but it does allow the ability to get involved if necessary. G2.iG again looking towards that top lane, seeing if they could find an angle onto ATF, though ATF does again get to safety. I say that though, ATF does show underneath the ward of G2.iG there for a moment. Oh, he's a bit indecisive. This could cost him. Nothing to say though. Unable to quite close the gap. JT does go for the charge though. Crit is going to spot him out, and well, quite frankly, I'm not sure if it's going to matter, because ATF, he might be baiting by his tier 1 tower. They could TP and rotate if ATF needs it. Still JT going in quite deep for this one. ATF, he's still around his tier 2, but nobody's coming.
Oh.
They're just jumping in. Falcons, they don't respond to it.
They had the TPs ready, they don't come in. Not even able to get the Doom off.
Oh, the Timber TP was cancelled. By the looks of it, it is on cooldown.
Yeah, even then, like no one else tried to commit. Maybe just the 2 years would have been enough. They do find the mid, or they find the top
nothing
tier
to
one off the
say.
back.
What a Fisher coming out, finding 2. Crit. Oh, he's going to try and at least stop JT from chasing Malrine. Nothing to say, already got the hand up, waving them goodbye. And Malrine, not out of the woods quite yet. Has to continue chaining away, as nothing to say. Gonna blink forward for the chain stuns, but not able to get it this time around. They will at least take Snaking's life.
And they find something for their trouble. All of this is starting to pile in. You're ready to run on JT, and they find Skidder.
Oh, this is a big one, JT. Good charge out, Skidder. Go for a run, but Mane is right behind JT to help out. They just need the disables. Sadly for JT, he does not get quite lucky with the bash. Instead, they move in onto Crit, but Crit, he does create the gap. So he's going to be able to walk back towards his mid-tier 1 tower, and it does seem like he will be able to survive through it.
I like this aggression coming out from G2.iG. They are applying that map pressure, but you are still finding space here on the side of Falcons. Octarine fully done on Amar, so now he's going to be able to commit the Doom at a higher frequency. Not that we've seen the Doom just yet, but that option is starting to get much easier to apply now for the side of Falcons. And Skidder, outside of that one death, has been free farming down bot as well. So a rather even game in terms of net worth. The aggression is on G2.iG, but their lineup is the one that needs to clear out this map a lot faster anyway. Again, they've kind of stopped at the tier 1s. They haven't gotten a good fight just yet to transition into a tier 2 push.
Xnova gets jumped by Crypt, but he has plenty of help around the corner. This could be a team fight the G2.iG wants to take. It's nothing to say, jumps in, Crypt is blown up immediately. Malrine, he's getting very, very low. He does need to retreat, but Mane is not leaving him be. Mane continuing the chase, but the Doom is out. Still Malrine is gone as JT does get the charge off. Now ATF copping the Nether Strike. He needs his own way out, but the bash comes just in case he needed it. Though it didn't seem like he did, but a 3-for-0 trade as Falcons once again being punished for their aggression.
Yeah, just great moves coming out from G2.iG. Maybe a little bit keen on the side of Falcons to jump in. Like the Doom comes out before the Soulbind is out onto the Morphling, who's already a significant portion away from where that fight breaks out. Like it's a fairly long chase. The Hand of God saves as well, right in the nick of time. And it's this chase that's just really awkward. You can see Amar trying to get into the Morphling, uses the Tumbler Exploit, pops the Doom as Soulbind comes on. That just means they can't find any follow-up afterwards.
That's kind of the thing as well. They're not really fighting with any vision around this area, so it's wishful thinking, I suppose, trying to go for that fight. As now G2.iG is going to go for a free Roshan after knowing that they've got that team fight, and Well, that's 7-12 now, 1K advantage the way of G2.iG, though JT, bottom lane, will be chased down by Maureen and Crit. JT, a tanky boy, now has charge back up and available, and Crit could not cancel. JT just going to wave him goodbye. Sadly for Falcons, it's getting to a stage now in this game where G2.iG, they're starting to get a momentum behind them that could be quite dangerous here for Falcons.
Yeah, they're ready to move as a unit. Even Monet, just with that Lincoln's early on, with the Manta almost done as well, should be ready to kind of join his team if need be. You're still kind of stuck building up here for Amar. They will try with a foray up on the triangle. They've got a good aggressive ward forward, but it doesn't feel like they've got the easiest catch. Like, if you're going to jump JT with that bulldoze, chances are, unless you commit something like the Doom very quickly, you're not going to stop that Spirit Breaker.
It is very, very challenging. G2.iG more than happy to take their time in this game as well. Like, we know how great Monet is when it comes to this Morphling. This is his favorite hero after all, so I'm sure he is more than confident going after the late game here against Skitter's Luna. G2.iG, I mean, obviously a team that's done their homework after yesterday, because they are doing very well in terms of dealing with Falcons and that aggression that Falcons was showing during day one. Mid lane, Crit and Maureen again just kind of hanging around, pushing out creep waves, trying to maybe find an opportunity. They could try for nothing to say, but instead Falcons are the ones kind of getting pincered in. They'll run towards the west of the map. But G2.iG, I mean, considering the state of the game, it seems like they want to try for the tier 1 mid tower. And this is something they haven't had all game. They're just opening up the map, allowing themselves to get into that Radiant triangle and get into that Radiant jungle very freely through the mid lane is something that Falcons I don't think are going to enjoy quite much.
No, they definitely won't. The Falcon vision is still mainly aggressive, not defensive for farm.
Oh.
They do try for the Tormentor, and, well, snaking this time around is our victim. It does happen.
Skitter, though. Oh, Skitter's a much bigger deal, and nothing to say. Oh, we can smell him.
I mean, he sees someone dies to a neutral. He knows what's up. They were clearing the Tormentor, and Skitter walks through the regular gate, not the shortcut gate that's limited access, a little bit more defended, a little bit further from that triangle area. So just a pretty, it's not something you'd think about, right? Like finishing Tormentor, you walk down, you have your tier 2, you're safe. Not in this case.
No. 7-13 again. I mean, a net worth lead is nothing to really write home about. Less than 1K here for G2.iG, but again, just the tempo and momentum is certainly sitting in their favor at the moment as Xnova again going to be jumped here by Maureen. They want to deal with the Chen, though. He is somehow still alive, just not taking enough damage yet. Xnova, though, eventually going to go down. And in fact, Monet, is he just dead? The Aegis is gone. That was a Doom committed by ATF, so you won't have that available now. JT, going for the charge in, but decides better off. I mean, they've already lost Xnova, they've lost the Aegis. No need to force a fight that isn't going to work in your favor.
That's a pretty smooth play out from the side of Falcons, though. Like, you only find Aegis, but that also holds off G2.iG from trying to fully force into a tier 2 into the high ground situation here. And they take this opportunity to smoke. No Doom, but if they can find an opening, they've got the output with Mallory now.
Bottom lane, who have they got? Oh, they found Monet. That is huge by Falcons. Monet just farming underneath an observer ward of the Radiant as JT now charges in. Should be okay to back his way out. The Crit is still chasing him down, but does think better of it. He'll go after Xnova instead. Avalanche toss up. Nothing to say, gonna jump in and help out. Taking down Crit and now the Soulbind. Locking two of them together. Xnova dropping low, but Baboka trying to heal him up, but it's not gonna be enough. Xnova is gone. ESL they still want to go for the fight. The charge is in from JT, but here comes ATF, and here comes the Eclipse of Skitter. But where's the detection? The Glimmer Cape, it just saves JT. He'll walk out for now as Maureen, he's gone too deep. Ooh. Nothing to say will punish. Falcons, I mean, it started off great. You took Monet down, the Morphling was gone, but somehow G2.iG, they find a way to even up this team fight.
It's still a big kill finding Monet, but we've seen this from G2.iG. We've seen this with Baboka. When he has that Glimmer Cape, he's just so far back, he gets the Glimmer off, you didn't see it in the inventory, you're not carrying dust, and you just miss out on even more. Like, you find this huge Morphling, you did manage to take care of his first life. At the very least, you don't lose out in your Luna. You took that fight without another usage of Doom. So it's not the ideal circumstance for the side of Falcon as well, to force that further without waiting for just your next Doom timing. And G2.iG, they're happy with a punish. Still a rather even game in terms of net worth. You are starting to pull ahead now on Skitter. He does have his shard up. He is working onto the BKB. Maybe down the line, the Satanic comes in as well. So trying to burst down the Luna is a little bit tougher, but we're still a ways off from that critical mass point for the Luna. And G2.iG, this is when they reach their peak. This is when, again, they don't have protection of Aegis, but one good team fight in, a tier 2 falls, high ground gets knocked on with Chen Army and the Nether Blasts.
For now, it looks like G2.iG going to hang out on the eastern side of the map. Falcons will do the exact opposite. They'll be on the west. Skitter's still top of the net worth board on this Luna. Bigger and bigger as time goes on. Group up into the mid lane here from nothing to say in Baboka. Falcons, they like what they see, immediately turning back around, going through the river, trying to get towards the Earthshaker. And to say, of course, very quick, just blinks right out of there before they even have a chance. Skitter now with the BKB up, though. That's a pretty big spike here for Falcons. They might want to group up and go for a big smoke. Get this BKB reveal going. Nothing to say. Do not go for that creep wave, sir. It's like Baboka. He'll do the job for him. Good game sense here from G2.iG. Realizing that they are probably using that creep wave as bait, they will not hand over the free kills to Falcons. Instead, now ATF getting charged up. JT giving the vision over to nothing to say, but ATF seems to be very well aware that they were coming, and I believe JT was charging underneath vision anyway. And indeed he was. And with that, G2.iG will have to wait for another day. The JT is still continuing the charges out. Realizing that the Falcons are around the area, he will retreat.
Just some great wards from the side of Falcons to spot all of this back and forth movement. Like this river ward giving a ton of information out, telling them that the bottom area is occupied. They've got a nice ward to enable a push on the top tier 2 as well behind that tower. And they'll start slowly sieging with the damage output now on Skitter. They will get siege down bot, so could end up being a 1-for-1 trade. Fortify is forced out. The creep wave is gone, siege creep gone as well, but you still got the army ready for Baboka if he does want to commit and the blast to slowly chip down. They will start to open up that map. Once that tier 2 is down, bot jungle opens up fully. You can start to just stay on this side of the map and try to infiltrate the triangle now, which is where Falcons is trying to hold their position.
This is a perfect time for Falcons. Like, they've got a double damage rune for Skitter bottled up. They've got a BKB still available here for him. Falcons, they could do anything for a team fight at the moment. G2.iG again not giving the opening that they're looking for. And nothing to say is the closest target that Falcons could try and go for, but they would have to venture into the dire triangle. They'd have to do it completely blind to boot, so they won't go for that option. Instead, Falcons will try to force the fight by pushing in the top wave and maybe going after the tier 2 top tower. Mind you, if they win the fight, it does not necessarily lead to Roshan. Roshan is going to spawn in 2 minutes anyway, so it seems like Falcons, instead of forcing the tier 2, they're going to just prep themselves for this next Roshan attempt. And they've still got plenty of time. G2.iG, they're the ones that are going to have to find a way up to that Roshan pit, and it seems like they found a way to do so. They're going to go for a 4-man smoke and try.
See if they find the angle up. Skitter's right in front of this movement as well. If they catch that Luna off straight up, it's gonna be...
Great, he'll break the smoke on JT. G2.iG. See a little bit more than just crit. Now Reen, not breaking his own smoke yet. Double damage was committed here by Skitter. Again, the jump has not occurred. G2.iG very, very patient, though. Again, they have no idea the double damage is there for the Luna. Scan is out. Into the Roshan pit, that is. Not really giving that much info, because it is a Manta illusion of the Luna. Maureen going to reveal himself top lane, but just deals with the creep wave and jumps right back out. Roshan still 50 seconds away, though. So you're at that stage now where the team that wins this fight, they get guaranteed Roshan. Problem is the fight is not happening. G2.iG, they will retreat. They'll take a Wisdom Rune, they'll deal with some creep waves and try to split Falcons up. Or even finding Crit's Courier, so Crit lose that tier 3 neutral item, plus some Observer Wards. For Falcons, it's a very awkward Roshan attempt now. That mid and bot lane have both been forced in. Nobody has rotated to try and address that issue. G2.iG putting the pressure on already without even starting a fight.
They've been really patient. Like they're holding this position really well. They've got a good ward to watch that. Top flank, top right flank.
Oh, Echo committed. They have found Snaking. Snaking, he is down. And Maureen not looking too healthy either, but he will be able to walk away for now as they'll make the jump in onto ATF. ATF, he is down. 2 gone for Falcons. They will buy back on Snaking, but not quite on the Doom yet. Seems like Skidder just going to TP away. And Roshan, it is almost guaranteed to go the way of G2.iG now.
That's a really good angle to find. Even though it just opens up in the Grimstroke, you make the Ag's usage of Malrine. He's forced to pop that barrier very early on just to stay alive. He's not able to try to go forward and dish damage out onto the wider scope. And you're out of position. You're holding this really good spot, but the positioning just not at the right time for Falcons. Aegis once more coming out to G2.iG, secondary life. This should be the high ground attempt off the back of this with the cheese ready to go. And even without Echo Slam, it's not as scary. What you do have to be concerned with is ATF coming back with Doom up. He did not manage to cast it last time. They've still got the Soulbind ready. There are still ways for Falcon to kind of play the high ground here. But again, one more pick-off like that, one more fight opener like that coming out from G2.iG, and it doesn't take long for these objectives to fall.
It certainly does not. The tier 2 top tower, not going to last at all. G2.iG, do they commit? And they could start chipping away here with Monet. He does hit extremely hard as is with the Morphling. Secondary life, he's going to be feeling rather safe, and of course you've got Boca there to back him up with the Nether Blast. Tier 3 tower, going to lose half its HP, but that'll be about it. G2.iG, they're not going to rush this. They'll take the Tormentor instead. Just get as much value as you possibly can. Because no need to underestimate the side of Falcons and give them a way back into this game. You've got a huge advantage. Make sure you hold on to it.
Yeah, they're not in a rush with Aegis still having so much time. They just go back, allow JT to balance out that bot lane, get some more farm going. Again, you're using the space well in Falcons, but the one thing that we just haven't seen yet is the Luna coming in with all of this farm. Like that, again, that last fight up at Roche, it just wasn't the appropriate angle Skidder wanted to take. He will have Silver Edge up and running by the time the next fight breaks out. But we've got to see this investment in Luna kick in. We've got to be able to see them get at least some parts of this teamfight initiation right. Either the Blink Inkswell with the reactive armor downline bursting, or just the Blink Doom with Inkswell as well. Your fights have to open up in that way for Falcons. They should not look to be counter-engaging here. Because when G2.iG jumps onto you, it's just so damn fast. And it's always going to be JT or NTS coming in with a big slam or just a really good charge.
Falcons, they are going to split up just a little bit. Hang around that Radiant side triangle. G2.iG keeping up the pressure, just all waves in the mid and bot lane being forced in constantly. But they are giving farm priority over to ATF as mid lane. JT does get caught out with a great avalanche toss, but JT gets the BKB off in time, and now the Hand of God, and now the Echo! Oh, nothing to say! What a setup!
Oh my.
Snaking and Maureen are both gone!
That, again, not the ideal. Like, ATF somehow managed to doom JT while he was charging. That's not the target anymore.
Oh, JT?
JT does die in the fountain, sure. Doesn't matter. He got doomed while charging out anyway. He just used that ult up. And again, the Soulbind doesn't connect. They pinned Inkswell in. They can't afford to counter-initiate on the side of Falcons. High ground getting ripped to shreds. A good opener, what looked like a good opener from Crit, just didn't quite line up the way they wanted to.
Dropping a little bit low, nothing to say again, has been absolutely fantastic on this Earthshaker, just consistently being able to perform as Monet. Continuing onto that mid-racks, Monet still going to play it safe, will retreat. Minute and a half left on the Aegis, but not willing to risk it and throw it away, especially while they're lacking that Spirit Breaker. Of course, Maureen is now respawning. Here we go. I believe I did say Snaking died as well, but he did not. My apologies for that one. It's mid lane JT. You see, he does get caught initially, but just so much committed onto the SB and nothing to say. More than happy to jump in as here we go again, mid lane. Who have they got? X-Nova is gone. There goes your Aegis onto Monet as well. So that's one life gone. There's now nothing to say. Dropping low, loses his own life. Monet needs to run. It's a 2v5 situation, and it is not in the favor of G2.iG. They have lost 3, or rather 2, as JT was already in the grave.
That was such a great move forward from the side of Falcons. They know that the Echo Slam's down. They know there's no Spirit Breaker to contend with charging through your entire team. So you have nothing to worry about. They get that combination off. The supports have no body to block all of that aggression onto them. And they find an opening back. No Aegis. Cheese is gone as well.
Top lane. JT popping his BKB preemptively, just charging right out of there. So important he remains alive right now to keep these creep waves pushed out. Not allow Falcons to move onto the high ground, and seems like Falcons are going to retreat anyway after the tier 2 top tower.
They even out the game just a little bit more. When they have a little bit of control, they can threaten for a push onto the high ground off the back of a good fight, although map control overall is rather even across both sides. They get the free shard up now for nothing to say. So you've got that additional annoyance with the Fissure, just a little bit more control. The follow through from JT charging through. 13 to 18, 7K lead for G2.iG. It's still a comfy position for G2.iG, but again, we've hit the point where Skitter and his farm, as long as they find that opening, as long as you can prevent the Spirit Breaker from doing as much when he charges in, if you can somehow isolate JT first and clean him up, you have access to the backline. You have a way of just chain stunning Monet and just taking away this threat.
Mid lane again. Here we go. Nothing to say. Echo's up. BKB's up. Ags is up. He wants to play. Mid lane, who shows first? Falcons, they're going to try and move into that Radiant jungle. Scan is out. They will scan the Earthshaker. Skitter, he's going to see him for now. Nothing to say. They're retreating. Instead, X-Nova, the one ready to tank the initiation if necessary. Maureen will reveal himself, trying to deal with those ancient creeps of the Chen. G2.iG not seeing the opening they wanted, they will back off for now. Falcons, they'll basically just be very patiently waiting in the mid lane for G2.iG to make a mistake. G2.iG not making it very easy at all, still being very patient. Is now Crit, he's looking for a toss back, charges out, JT gonna go right through him. Crit still looking to go in, but the BKB's out from JT though, nice blink away. Crit does get a BKB usage out of JT, so now G2.iG, they don't want to fight. They want to wait for that to be back off cooldown.
This could be the opening they're looking for. If they pin down JT and catch him without that spell immunity, they're on the hunt for him.
Oh, they certainly are. It's a big opening for Falcons if they can find it, but JT, he's a fast boy. He's out of it.
It's just so difficult. You're getting that chase done. Your bot lane is shoving in. 2 siege creeps, the Morphling illusions getting some work in. They respond with Malarine coming down, so now you can't get your aggression going. And that's also seen by G2.iG. They're still holding on to that bot jungle area. They can punish if someone overextends onto this creep wave. But they played cautiously on the side of Falcons, although the charge from JT, just playing poke.
JT just keeping up vision here on Falcons. Classic Spirit Breaker play. It's mid lane. G2.iG again. It's not quite ready to go, but remaining in position. We will find out in about 20 seconds when the next Roshan is going to respawn, so another big objective available here for either side pretty damn soon. Tier 4 items do come up. Monet's going to pick up a very nice ninja gear for himself. 4-man smoke is there from Falcons to get prepped in position around that Roshan pit. Is it going to be an early? Is it going to be a late one? Roshan is... Oh, it's a late one. 2 minutes again.
I mean, they can at least try to find something with his smoke. Sneaking up top, setting up the same position as last time with the vision to cover it as well. So they are wanting that Roshan. With the timer, they'll only have a few seconds where Roshan's still up top. And see if that's something they really want to chase to that full extent. They do have the double Doom ready on Amar. He does have the refresh. So it should be a little bit easier for him to start to pin down JT +1. Ideally, either NTS or Monet. Possibly Monet if he can break through the Lincolns. That's going to be That's going to make his life a living hell. Again, he's had a pretty decent game so far, one death, so he does break his streak on his Morphling games,
Unlucky.
but it was bound to happen at some point.
Radiant's middle barracks are under
That's
attack.
kind of just the way this game's gone. Just a very close matchup between these two teams, which is exactly what we wanted to see. Monet going to pressure Falcons to move back into the Radiant base and get away from that Roshan pit. Of course, now G2.iG, they're just going to probably switch positions. You come back to the base, we go back up to the Roshan pit.
Yeah,
Just fundamentals here from G2.iG.
yeah, just forcing movement out, just trying to set up the map for when that Roshan is back up. And now they've got the better position as Roshan is
hold on a
close to
minute.
spawning.
X-Nova does get caught, and they've got committed, somehow still making it up, but now is JT. He charges right in, the Spirit Breaker. What a Giga Chat. He'll cop the Doom, but he's just TPing out. JT, he's fine. Monet, he's the one to jump back in. Crit is gone. Maureen, he's not looking safe either, though he will chain away for now, still making it, and barely does escape, but you've lost the support duo. Falcons, they can buy back on Snake King, they cannot on Crit, and Roshan, it is up in 10 seconds.
And that's the opening for G2.iG. Again, they have the better position off the back of just forcing that rotation back into their base and taking up position onto Roshan themselves. They take care of the wards. They are ready. They've only got a few seconds, but they've got the damage to just take care of Rosh right here, right now. Rosh number 3 with a free refresh ready to go. Could be going to... Probably nothing to say here. Maybe JT if you really wanted a double BKB, but it does seem a little bit unnecessary. So you've got the double BKB for nothing to say. The double slam, that could potentially come true here.
Uh-oh.
And that should be the high ground off the back of a fight if they find it.
That's not all they're going to have, John. There's a double Tamitru now spawned up at the top side, and, well, I guess it's going to get denied off anyway. Skidder does send a Manta Illusion just in case, and thankfully he did, because that would have been a problem. Classic old Gaben's blessing right there.
And it is. They've got the full butterfly, speaking of, on Skidder. So if he can, again, start to dish that damage out, going for the Satanic next for that durability, especially with a shard. But it just doesn't feel like Falcons have been able to play their game in a while. You know, all of that movement mid was great. They did slow down, nothing to say, but they didn't manage to translate that into more of the map. It took them a long time. Eventually, again, G2.iG just used the space just as well. They applied even more pressure onto Skidder to prevent that Luna from being comfy. And now with all of these tools, they're going high ground.
How do you fight this? I mean, double Echo Slam, it's so scary when NTS is just hitting 3, 4, 5-man Echo Slams all game. You cannot afford to give it away! And speaking of the devil, he'll make the jump in. It's only one though. The Doom was committed. In fact, it was a double Doom out with the Soulbind, and the chase is on. Maureen, he wanted a little bit more, but they can't capitalize. They cannot capitalize. They have to allow G2.iG to leave. At least they know Echo Slam's gone, but NTS, he can just wait for the next one. He'll still have a double available for that next fight, and Falcons, I suppose, counting their blessings, that they're still able to hold on to their high ground for now, but G2.iG probably also doing the same, knowing they're going to be able to reset and come back at a later date.
Yeah, they stall for time. They take this opportunity to just shove up the top lane as well to get a little bit more room out. Both sides did save their refresh, so you still have a secondary Doom ready for Amar if NTS does decide to refresh early to force a fight. That's some really quick reflexes on Falcons to break up that initiation, but G2.iG?
Right in. They don't even want to wait for the secondary Echo Slam. They're just jumping right in immediately as Crit is down. That's a great start. The Crit does have buyback this time as Maori. He'll blink it. Chaining right back out though. Just chipping away at the Morphling. G2.iG, no fear in the world. They'll move in again. There's nothing to say. Look at the jump in. The Fisher, the refresh. The 4-man Echo out from NTS. Just locking them all down. Falcons, they'll buy back again. All 5 heroes up. G2.iG, do they want to keep this going? It seems like the answer is yes. They will get the bottom racks. Monet, he'll move right into the mid racks. Maureen, he's going to try and stop the mid racks from going down, but he cannot deal with Monet. Instead, they'll throw the Doom out onto the Morphling. But Monet, he's going to casually walk out, and he does have the Aegis. So you lose 1 life, no big deal.
Just a little bit of a reset. A little bit unfortunate of those buybacks. It felt like Crit just died back instantly in trying to set up with the tossbacks. And again, the issue right now for Falcons is they have no angle to start these fights on their terms. Right? We were talking about this blink on Malrine way earlier on, playing with Inkswell, jumping forward, starting off with ATF with Inkswell as well. None of that has been coming in. G2.iG dodges out every single movement, and at this point of the game, they've got control of the map, they've got the vision, and they've got the Spirit Breaker that just charges in. They've got this crazy shaker from Nothing Say landing off the big stuns. He's holding out on the echoes until they start to clump up, and he just finds the big ones they need. Like, how do you fight into this for Falcons? Again, it's down to trying to find this angle. They need a little bit of vision out, maybe just go on a smoke run, drop some wards forward, try to retake some semblance of control, try to get a little bit of information out and play off the back of that, but even that has just felt near impossible for Falcons for a good few minutes here.
Here we go again. Spells available. G2.iG, they want to go. If there's one Rax remaining here up at the top lane, nothing to say. He will lead the pack through the bottom lane. G2.iG looking for that opening. Nothing to say. He does successfully get onto the high ground. Falcons have no idea. And the Echo Slam, NTS!
Oh.
You monster! Oh, I can't believe it. He just sneaks right from the backside. And they just melt. The buybacks are coming, but does it even matter?
No.
It doesn't seem like it. Nothing to say. He doesn't need to say anything this game, John. He showed everything. Skitter still trying to fight, just getting annihilated. So nothing to say now, getting tossed back. Maybe they can fight this one out. They've lost the Earthshaker, but Monet's the big problem now. He's the one you've got to deal with as Monet takes down 3, will retreat. A triple kill for the Morphling. And GG is called. They've seen enough. That's it. Game number 1 to go the way of G2.iG. And Mike.